This is the Sabbath School lesson for the fourth quarter, 2021.
Lesson 2 from the series Present Truth in Deuteronomy, ready for teaching on October 9, titled Moses History Lesson, and I'm Percy Harrold. Sunday, October 3, the Ministry of Moses. All through the Bible, the presence of Moses is felt, and though he's not mentioned until Exodus chapter 2 and verse 2, he had written the book of Genesis, God's authoritative and foundational story of who we are, how we got here, why things are as bad as they are, and yet why we can hope anyway. Creation, the fall, the promise of redemption, the flood, Abraham, the gospel, all have their roots in Genesis, and its author was the prophet Moses. It's hard to gauge adequately the influence that this one man, hardly flawless, was nevertheless able to exert for God because he loved the Lord and wanted to serve him. Read Exodus 32, verses 29 to 32, which records the conversation between the Lord and Moses after the terrible sin of the golden calf. What insight does this story give us about the character of Moses and why, despite whatever flaws he had, the Lord was able to use him in such a mighty way? Exodus 32, beginning at verse 29. For Moses had said, "Consecrate yourselves today to the Lord, even every man upon his son and upon his brother, that he may bestow upon you a blessing this day." And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses said unto the people, Ye have sinned a great sin, and now I will go up unto the Lord, peradventure I shall make an atonement for your sin. And Moses returned unto the Lord and said, O, this people have sinned a great sin, and have made them gods of gold. Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book which thou hast written. Even though Moses had nothing to do with the sin, he sought to intercede for this sinful people, even being willing to lose his own soul on their behalf. Fascinatingly enough, in Exodus 32, verse 32, when Moses asked God to forgive their sin, the verb actually means to bear. Thus, Moses, understanding the gravity of sin and what it took to atone for it, asked God indeed to bear their sin. And that is because this is the only way ultimately that their sin, any sin, could be forgiven. Thus, here we have, early in the Bible, a powerful expression of substitution in which God himself, in the person of Jesus, will bear in himself the full brunt and penalty of our sin. God's preordained way of salvation for humanity while remaining true to the principles of his government and law. Indeed, many centuries later, Peter would write about Jesus in 1 Peter 2:24, who himself bore our sins in his own body on the tree, that we, having died to sins, might live for righteousness, by whose stripes you were healed. Meanwhile, what we see in this story of Moses and his reaction to their sin is Moses in the role of intercessor on behalf of a fallen, sinful people, a precursor to what Jesus also will do for us, as we read in Hebrews 7, verse 25, Wherefore he is able also to save them to the uttermost that come unto God by him, seeing he ever liveth to make intercession for them. So, to finish today, willing to lose your own soul for his people? Think more about the implications of those words. What can we learn from them for ourselves about what it means truly to love others? This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind, and It Is Written. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. Remember, God is always faithful.